say welcome home and say, I'm here and it's an honor to be able to captain the ship that you guys have helped build. And today we honor that. So as we go through this today, and obviously at the basketball game when we honor you, know that we love you. This is your place. And we're here just making it right for you. And now you get to have your name on these walls. And it's fantastic. So congratulations, welcome everybody. And now let's hear what they're doing.
Well, John, it's time for you to take one more shot and for me to get that last assist. So congratulations on a basketball career well played, well documented, and a Hall of Fame induction well deserved.
You wrote it.
Was this not work?
It's gonna be a little.
Is it going to be taller than this? It's an honor to have you here with me today, and it's an honor to have Mike Cohen with me today. The three of us came in together. It's amazing we're standing here 55 years later to help play such a significant part in my induction to the Hall of Fame. Thank you, Liz. And it's also, is your son here?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, Bart and his girlfriend Allison, I think. It's so nice that you brought them with you as well, and that you flew in from Portland, Oregon for this event. I appreciate that. It was nice. So as Vinny said, that he's been with me since day one, and very possibly did give me my first assist as a Brown Indian. Mike, you might want to check this. It could have been you, but I'm not sure. In our 99-62 season opener. Hey, keep that kid quiet. It's going to wait till you're looking to raise him. 99-62 season opener my freshman year against Elmira College. So it's been fitting that he's here today, 55 years later, to give me my last assist. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and congratulate the two young ladies that I'm sitting with up here today, Eboni Preston Laurent and Jo Storms Scattergood, who we've never met before today, but now we will be joined at the hip forever. Congratulations, girls. It's indeed a pleasure to be with you today. I'd also like to take a moment to commend and sincerely thank everyone affiliated with the athletic department here at St. Bonaventure, in particular, Tim Kenny and Steve Best, as well as the rest of their staff, for their efforts in orchestrating this event. Obviously, you've done an awesome job. We definitely appreciate everything that each of you have done to make this day possible. Thanks, guys. And girls, I think there's some girls involved there. I'm not quite sure what it is that comprises the entire selection committee for this award, but I'd also like to thank each of those individuals for their efforts as well. I would say they did a great job, wouldn't you, Rose? And of course, I can't possibly forget to thank the coaches from that era for everything that they did to contribute to our success on and off the courts as positive student athletes representing St. Bonaventure University at all times. Now, for those of you who didn't know this, we had to wear blazers with SBU on it for every home game and on the road. And I really loved that. I thought it was pretty cool. So it was a great time to be here for sure. Head coach Larry Leeson, Fred Hamlin, who was the JV or varsity coach, or excuse me, the freshman coach at that time, and Bob Sassone, and of course our first athletic trainer at the time, the late great Dick Gelati. Now, I have to say that I am overwhelmingly thrilled to be joined here today by such a large contingency of family members, former players, and lifelong friends. I'd like to, at this time, take just a moment to introduce a few of them. My beautiful wife and best friend, Linda Henry Hayes. Two of my amazing daughters are here today. Colleen, over there somewhere, yes, and Erica. son-in-law. They're in from Boston. Colleen's from Lakewood, New York. And of course, 4 of my amazing grandchildren, Bria, Britton, Braden, and the youngest addition, 18-month-old, he's talking right now, Beckham. He's coming up by the phone. I'd like to sincerely thank each and every one of you for being here today and taking that time to make the trip down here to join me at this very proud moment in my life. I love you all. So for those of you that may not know where it all began, and it was mentioned a few times, I was born in Niagara Falls, New York, graduated from Niagara Falls High School in 1965, and to this day, I still have people asking me why I sing better and not better. Frequently, it's amazing. It's never going to go away, yes. Well, that's another story. I grew up in a very modest environment, to say the least. My dad left when I was just 2 years old, and I never saw him again. So my house, 5-foot Italian mother, 5 foot, Carmela Polano, that was Italian, did the very best that she possibly could under the circumstances to raise all 5 of her children by herself. Love and miss you dearly, Mom. Wish you were here. My family moved around a lot when I was young, and I'd be willing to bet that more than likely I attended more schools in the city of Niagara Falls than any of my friends, without a doubt. And I counted them, and I'm sure I did. And then, in the middle of 5th grade, I transferred to a Catholic grade school in the Falls called Our Lady of Lebanon. And that was the school and the move that changed the course of my life forever. That's when my basketball career began and continued to improve every year from that point on. Basketball and singing seemed to dominate most of my free time, and I just about lived at the boys' club. And I'm thrilled and delighted to have 3 of my grade school teammates here with me today. Jo Storms Scattergood, Nelson Zakiel, and Andy Sarkis, and another great friend from grade school that traveled down here with them, Tony Colucci. And for the record being, sit in my seat. There's a very good chance that one of these guys, more than likely, dished me my very first assist ever in an official regulation basketball game. So you didn't get that privilege.
Well, you could never get enough.
No, I never got enough. You can't score 35 points a game assisting everybody here. You should. I'd also like to acknowledge one of my starting guards for my senior year at Niagara Falls High School that played a huge role in my success with scoring points in the Niagara Frontier League, Mitch Adamczyk. Thanks so much to all of these lifelong friends and teammates for joining me here today for my Hall of Fame induction. Really appreciate you guys coming around. So there we were, very young and impressionable kids playing hoops at Lebanon, which was just a few miles, ironically, from Niagara University. Back when they were playing home games. Back then, we played them twice. So we knew all of the key players for Niagara and Bonnie. They were all superstars. Players like Tom Smith, of course, Sam Smith, Whitey Martin, Freddie Crawford, Miles Aiken. And we would go out of our way in Lebanon in 6th and 7th grade to try to emulate these guys on the court, if you recall, guys. But never in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine that one day I would not only be playing basketball at this highly competitive Division I college in Olean, but that the day might come when I would join the superstars. Talk about a real life dream come true. This is humbling with a capital H for sure. That I feel most compelled to mention, the person that was definitely most instrumental in convincing me to make the decision to become a Brown Indian. That would have to be the #1 premier recruiter at that time for St. Bonaventure, a gentleman by the name of Ben Russin. Most of you people have never heard the name, don't know him. He was awesome. And since Ben was such an outstanding salesman, and I underline the word salesman and outstanding because he was the best, and I really can convince him, a salesman is a perfect person to be recruiting people for basketball programs in the schools. More so sometimes than a coach. Convincing top prospects to play at Bonner for Ben was relatively easy. And of course, he was right on the money with his sales pitch because I thoroughly enjoyed every aspect of my 4 years here on campus and my affiliation with the basketball program. So I definitely didn't make a wrong decision. I'll be a Brown Indian forever. Since Ben and I spent a great deal of time together as our friendship continued to grow, and he lived less than 20 miles away from me in Lockport, New York, I had the opportunity to give him an assist by working with Ben to recruit another reasonably decent prospect out of the Bennett High School in Buffalo. I guess his name was Bob something, Lanier? Yeah, really. We worked very closely to bring Bob in. Ben was also responsible for recruiting a number of other outstanding players here in the 60s, like Mike Cullen, Tel T-Bass, Paul Hoffman, Paul Grice, and Matt Gant, just to name a few. Unfortunately, Ben passed away at the prime of his recruiting career at the way too early age of 43 in 1970. So when I graduated in '69, I took a position to work with Ben at his company in Lockport. And just 16 short months later, as fate would have it, I was at Ben's side at Roswell parking lot when he passed away on October 20th, 1970. So what are the odds that I would receive that call from Tim Kenny on that exact day, October 20th, 49 years later, notifying me of being selected for this prestigious award? I find it hard to believe that that was just a coincidence. That is weird.
I planned it all.
Ben was more than just a basketball recruiter to me. He was my mentor and, to some degree, the father figure that I never had. And without a doubt, the person that inspired me to embrace a career in sales. No doubt. Thank you, Ben Russin. So here we are this morning. And I don't know how many people are in this facility for the first time, the Riley Center. Quite a few, I'm assuming. And most of them may not know this, probably don't, but this is probably the most premier facility in Western New York, and without a doubt, amongst the little three schools, which used to be Bond and Agri Canisius. This was one of the main attractions that had a definite impact on my decision to attend St. Bonaventure. In addition, of course, I want to throw this in because many others should, to the fact that they were opening 2 new girl dorms on campus my freshman year. I'm not sure which of those things swayed my decision more, but here I am. And since the construction began my freshman year, that gave me the amazing opportunity to play that season in the historic and iconic Olean Armory. Not everyone can say that. We were the last ones to play there my freshman year, and what an honored experience that was. And as Vinny mentioned earlier, it definitely turned out to be a memorable one. I did all right. Thank you, Vinny, and thank you, Mike, for those assists. It would have happened otherwise. So then I find myself attending summer school in 1966, between my freshman and sophomore year. I liked Spanish 1 so much, I decided I'm going to take it again in summer school. Something like that, I wasn't sure. And I was running right behind the Riley Center in Robinson Hall with my new friend and eventual teammate, Bob Lanier. So we moved together for that whole summer and drove back and forth every Friday and come back on Sunday night. Bob was here taking a couple of classes just to get a head start before he began his freshman season. I probably should have known that I would have flunked Spanish. So we would routinely we would walk into the Riley Center during the construction process to check on the progress and to help in modifying any changes that we felt were necessary. They never listened to a word we said. So anyway, to end the story, I just happened to come in the day we were outside in the ball playing some basketball. We walked in to check the place out, see how it was going. So I had a ball with me. And weren't they installing the very first basket in the center of the field house here? So I just patiently waited and watched while the basket was being installed. And then once it was officially up, I sort of nonchalantly walked over to the basket and took and made the very first shot ever in the Riley Center. I wish I could say that in the game, but I was hurt. And then there's no question in my mind that the workers that just completed that task were less than thrilled to see that shot to win. You should have heard those guys. They were all over me. They wanted that ball. They wanted to make that first basket. Too bad. And finally, I want to say how thrilled I am to finally join the rest of our 105 teammates in the SBU Hall of Fame, Sports Hall of Fame. The mayor, Jimmy Satlin, Billy Calva, and my roommate on the road during that 67-68 undefeated season, Captain Billy Butler. What an awesome season it was. Just amazing to be part of it. Each of those guys were obviously outstanding athletes and teammates. What an honor it was to be a significant player on that team that had been labeled forever as one of the Iron Man 5. Now, I'm not sure how many people even know what that means, Iron Man 5. I mean, it sounds pretty cool. What it means is we had literally 10 people on the team. 5 guys were playing ball 99% of the time on the court. The bench, we rarely used the bench. And this could be an NCAA record that's never been recorded or mentioned. We received a total of 39 points that regular season. It was 22 games from the bench, period. So the first 5 scored almost every point and played almost every minute of every game. And I'm pretty sure I lost at least 10 pounds a year for the season. So before I close, I'd like to take just a few moments to introduce a few more of my loyal friends and supporters that are here with us today. First of all, my roommate, surprised me, Gary King. Great to see you. One of our awesome managers on the team, Marty Roberts, showed up. 2 of our closest friends that we drove down with today, or yesterday from Niagara Falls, Dan and Brenda Wisniewski are with us. My beautiful niece, Barry. Right, Barry. Hi. Oh. Hiding right in the front row. Yeah, I did. You must have moved. And her partner, another great friend and avid sports enthusiast, Pat Ciccarelli from Niagara Falls. My godson is here, and one of my all-time biggest fans and supporters that is not afraid to wear a bonnet shirt in the streets of Niagara Falls, like I am, good man. Art Gershon and his son Jeremy. Another classmate and teammate on the freshman team with me that's here today. That swears and told me how to shoot a jump shot. That's it. From Buffalo, Rich Tomolsky. Right, Rich. Former co-worker from years ago that's still doing business here at St. Bonaventure and had a birthday the other day, Jim Albrecht. And of course, I want to introduce my ex-wife, Barb Long, who's here today. My brother Bill Long, both from Allegheny, New York. Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it. So in closing, I want to thank you so much, St. Bonaventure, and everyone that's here today, for this amazing honor. This is by far one of the biggest highlights of my life in my sports. Thank you.
In the Hall of Fame, when you look back at the history of schools, how many athletes have been through here? How many players have been through here? and you're one of the best. You're not just one of the best lacrosse players. You're one of the best athletes ever. And now you're part of history. That's pretty incredible. That is remarkable. And so many times when, it's like watching the Olympics when they tell you, oh, you look down on the bronze medalist, and I'm like, why are you looking down on the bronze medalist? He's one of the 3 best in the world at what he does. Okay? How many of us would like to be the best in the world at what we do? And then today, you're here. This is a special honor at a special school, and you're part of history. So your mom's proud of you. She couldn't be here today because we have an illness in her family, but she's proud of you. The family's proud of you. St. Bonaventure family's proud of you. And I got to get this right as I end, or I will get in big trouble. It is my honor to officially welcome my daughter, Eboni, into the St. Bonaventure Athletics Hall of Fame.
When it came to writing a speech about myself and my experiences at St. Bonaventure, I felt like I didn't have the right words to do it justice. Those that know me know I like to be in the background, so it took a while to figure out what I should say and how long I could see myself being up here in front of you all. Instead of talking about any personal accolades or records, reflecting back, I thought it would be best to speak about what Bonaventure taught me. I happened to watch a video of Duke basketball coach, Coach K, reading a letter that he written to his younger self. The format resonated with me, and I decided that I wanted to read a letter of my own. In this letter to my younger self, I try to capture exactly why this moment and this school are special to me. Dear Eboni, or Bones as you will eventually be called. Welcome to the start of the next 4 years of your life. You come to a school in the middle of nowhere, where it snows all the time, knowing not one single person on campus. You are proud of yourself, but you're also uncertain. Uncertain if you chose the right school, or if you can manage all of your college classes. Even so, you're determined to make it work. So just relax and enjoy the moment. After your freshman year fall ball, you'll meet with Coach Zostant, and he'll tell you that he believes in you. He will tell you how good he thinks you could be, and you'll believe him. He sees something in you that you don't see in yourself. You'll push yourself to meet his expectations because he always encouraged and empowered you. The countless hours you will spend jump roping or playing wall ball by yourself will be because of his motivation. Although he may not know it, it is this small conversation that shaped the trajectory of your collegiate career. I know you'll grow tired of the early morning heavy metal lifts with Coach Fisk and the 3-hour Sunday practices. I guess you guys are experiencing that. In fact, you'll have reoccurring dreams about missing practice or losing your equipment for the rest of your life. You won't appreciate your coaches or your experience now, but eventually you will. You'll experience some of the greatest lessons in failure. Actually, you will fail every single running test every year your 4 years at Bonaventure. So get used to it. You will also let in plenty of goals, you will lose some big games, and you will even fail some tests. As your dad often says, sometimes you get the bear, and sometimes the bear gets you. The bear will get you a lot, but through each of these trials, you'll learn difficult life lessons that will eventually develop your persistence and dedication. This will be applicable to plenty of situations when you get older, and you'll value what failure taught you here. Try to find joy and meaning in the process. There will also be some stops along the way that you cannot possibly imagine, like becoming nationally ranked after beating number 10 ranked Richmond on a cold Easter Sunday, or beating Virginia Tech in your first collegiate start ever. You'll embrace the underdog mentality because that's all we know at Bonaventure. You'll get used to being overlooked and disregarded, but you'll thrive in those moments because that's the Bonaventure way. And your teammates, yes, it's true, they are crazy. Absolutely crazy. But trust me, you won't want to do this ride called college with anyone else. Over the next few years, you'll spend every moment with them. You'll have team boxing matches at your house, also called locker boxing. You'll have pig roasts in your backyard on Parents' Weekend. You'll host weekly parties where you'll incorporate ladder drills into your dance moves, and you will never want to leave Oak Street. Down the road, these same teammates and friends will be at your wedding, doing those same ladder drill dance moves, and you'll be at theirs, and you'll have pictures of their kids on your refrigerator. You'll miss this when you're gone. This time away from home will help you to realize that your parents are truly your biggest supporters and your #1 fan. They'll drive up in snowstorms, they'll make signs for you at temple, and they will talk you off the ledge when you're crying because you failed a running test again. Except for my dad. They'll buy you a new car when your Chevy Lumina breaks down on the way back to school your junior year, and they will call you to pump you up before all your big games. They will ground you and they'll push you, and most of all, they pray for you. Watch them and listen to them because they are the best examples of what you should grow up to be. You owe them the world, and you'll spend the rest of your life trying to give that to them. Eventually, you'll leave Bonna's, although not by choice. You'll get married down the road. Yes, you'll get married. And your husband will join you in those random Go Bonnies cheers you'll do around the house. And he'll learn to enjoy Bonaventure because he knows this is a special place. You'll take him to the OP because they have the best music, and you'll show him around campus, just so he can see the magic you once felt here. He'll actually be the reason you're standing right here in this spot 12 years later, and for that, you'll forever be indebted to him. You'll continue to fall in love with the game, but even more importantly, you'll come to understand the unique power that sports plays in bringing people together. You'll finally understand everything the sport taught you, and you'll want to give those same opportunities to the next generation. Your passion for creating these opportunities will begin with this sport and at this school. Lacrosse is the best sport on earth, and you will get to play at the best college on earth. You'll blink and it'll be over, but you're not going to believe how blessed you will be. I want to finish by thanking Steve Mess and the Hall of Fame Committee for selecting me. This award is a blessing, and I'm so honored to have a permanent place in history at a school that gave me so much. I will certainly cherish this for the rest of my life.
I'm going to give you the perspective from the mom. From the first day you hold your child, you feed them, teach them, give religious instruction, nurse them, we had many ice buckets, and you listen. All while Jo showed talents, personality, work ethic, and love of life. Then it was time for your child to walk out that door and walk through the St. Bonaventure University door, where they fed them, taught them, keep religious component, nurse her, there were ice days, and found special people to listen. While at St. Bonaventure, she continued improving her talents, kept that personality, work ethic, and love of life. Thank you, St. Bonaventure, for acknowledging and celebrating Jo with her induction to the Hall of Fame, our daughter that we continue to hold dear.
I want to start by congratulating John and Eboni. I'm really excited to share this exciting day with you today. I want to thank St. Bonaventure for the amazing 4 years, 5 almost, that I had here, and to Steve and the staff and the induction committee. Thank you so much. I don't know how to explain how I feel. It just means so much to be back here, and such an honor. I want to thank my husband, Wayne. He's right there. He keeps me very level. As you can see, I'm not always that way. I want to thank my boys, Aiden and Cole. I'm extremely proud of you. My dad, who thought I could do anything. My mom, who was there for everything. My sister, she's here. I played 3 sports with her, and she's always here for me. And she assisted, I think, 2/3 of my goals in soccer, and probably almost half of my points in basketball. She was extremely fast. So she would steal the ball, do a lot of the work to get the ball down the field, and I would be in the middle of the field scoring. I enjoyed it. I think she liked the fact that I was shooting it. At least I hope that. It seemed that way. But she's 18 months older than me, so we played a lot of sports together, and most of my career was with her. Thank you, Tim and the boys, for coming. I have an amazing mother-in-law. Not everyone can say that, but I do. She's the most thoughtful person in so many ways. And to my friends and anyone else that was able to make it today, Brandon, Seth, Father Peter, thank you. What I decided to do, instead of just talking about soccer, is to share some stories of why I love it here so much. And it has mostly to do with friendships. Mostly for my kids to understand why I enjoyed it here. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share some stories of all my friends that really had an impact on me and why it meant so much to me. My first roommate was Nicole. She was my freshman roommate, and she always listened to me. At the time I met her, she had never worked out in the gym. And if you knew me and know me, I thought she was kidding. I was like baffled. So once season was over, I took her to my favorite place, the gym, and she loved it. And I was so proud of her, and she was so proud of herself. And she became a regular, and Nicole ended up playing club field hockey here. And I got to see her play, and I'll never forget going over there and watching her. It made me so happy. And to this day, we still call each other on our birthdays. She was the best. Another story from freshman year was during preseason. I grew up in a small town. You heard some stories just now. And I felt a little bit out of place. This isn't a large college at all, but a lot of the girls that I played with played in Rochester, Buffalo, Long Island. They didn't know where Adams was. And people were asking what club I played for and if I played ODP. I had no idea what they were talking about, and I just kept smiling. And now my nephew's son play ODP, and again, I didn't know what it was. And for those that don't, it's a regional soccer team that you get picked for. But I just was big-eyed and I listened and smiled. Well, there was this one player, and she ended up transferring, but her name was Tish. And she noticed I didn't have she noticed I didn't have a pair of soccer socks, which sounds ridiculous. But we used to, not everybody, well, I didn't have any, but I mean, every kid that plays soccer has them from like age 3 on nowadays. But Tish noticed, and obviously did not want me going out on the field without a pair of soccer socks, an actual pair of soccer socks, you know what I mean. And she threw me a pair in the locker room on the first day of practice, and I still have them. She didn't understand what that meant to me, so. Anyway, Rob DeFazio, if you work here, you know Rob. Rob I met in gymnastics class. I was a phys ed major at first. And Rob and I had to take this class. It was hilarious. We were doing gymnastic moves, or whatever you want to call it. And I was supposed to be spotting him. And if you know me, I kind of am easily distracted. And I kind of let him fall on his head. And we laughed about it for 4 years, at least I did. And but gymnastics aside, he remembers that. And if you know Rob, he's an extremely loyal friend, and he's such a kind man. Brian Hamlick, I think he was in, I don't know if he was in these pictures, but last night there were some pictures. Brian I met in the history of physical education class, which was dominated by lecture, again, hard for me. But Brian spiced up the lecture with many witty comments, and his sarcasm was just amazing. He always invited me to study with him. He and I actually got the award together at graduation for Ideal Bonaventure. And but he'd always invite me to study with him, and Liz, his best friend, I always declined, aware of my ability to focus with any kind of distraction. But Brian, every summer, he wrote cards to people and notes and letters. I thought it was just to me, and then I started talking to everybody, and he did this to mass numbers of people. And I just remember thinking, that is such a special guy. He's just amazing. My sophomore year was rough for me. I have this thing where if I achieve something, I have to then better it. So I was like, ooh, that's kind of challenging. So going into sophomore year, I did pretty well in school that year in soccer, and I was putting myself on a pretty big challenge. And the player that got me to go here, her name was Chrissy Gilmore. And if you know Chrissy Gilmore, she was hilarious. She was a free spirit, unlike me. And I missed her a lot when she graduated. She was, I think, 2 years older than me. And Gilmore, she, if you know the heart here, it's so beautiful up there. And she realized I was like having a tough time, I think, but didn't really talk about it like that. And she invited me to bike up there with her, and the whole day, I'll never forget it. She doesn't understand what that meant to me that day. I had texted her, and she laughed. Oh yeah, I remember that. I was like, anyway, I'll never forget how she listened, and I needed that day. And that kind of got me through, the rest of the semester, just knowing she'd be there for me. I'm sorry. Rad, this guy, if you played baseball here in the 90s, you knew Rad. And you couldn't miss Rad. He was about 6'4". What do you think, Brendan? 6'5"? I don't know. He was probably my closest friend junior and senior year. I met him after I switched majors because of Father Peter. He convinced me to be a bio major. And Rad was probably one of the best pitchers on the baseball team when I was here. But to me, Rad was my best buddy. And he taught me about the game of baseball, which again, I can't sit very long. And baseball is a watching game like softball. And he taught me about the Yankees. And now I would have to say I watched the Phillies, but he was the first person in 4 years to get me to kind of chill out and just enjoy some simple things. And I appreciate that friendship probably more than he knows. I was a little wound up. Let's see. When learning about baseball, I got to meet Brendan. And Brendan was the announcer for the baseball team, and he also worked at the radio station. Was it the Pig? Is it still the Pig? And I remember I was student teaching my 5th year, and I was living with Brendan off campus at a wonderful little place. And he was the communication major, and he worked at the radio station, and I was driving home from student teaching, and I heard his voice, and I was just so excited for him that he was on the radio, and it just made me giggle. And one year we went, it was my 5th year, and we went to Oktoberfest. You remember this? And we were walking back to the bus together, laughing and whatever, and all of a sudden we just wipe out in the grass, and the whole entire bus just starts cheering us on, and we just laughed, and I'll never forget that day. It was just the most fun day. And finally, Father Peter. There's, you know, a lot of friars walking around campus. He's more the low-key friar, but he has the kindest heart, and he also has a funny side, if you know, that our anatomy class brought out of him a little bit. But he always had his office door open, and when I needed to talk or just sit there for a few minutes, he always stopped what he was doing and leaned back in his chair, and he'd listen. And I just want to thank you for that. It meant a lot to me. So, I just want to thank the soccer girls for being here this morning. You guys rock. And Steve, this weekend has been amazing. It's been an amazing weekend so far, and I'm glad the kids got to see what it's like at Bonda's and how friendly it is, and how every story that you think is going to last 2 minutes lasts 32 minutes. To my teammates, Froshy, Gilmore, Tish, Neen, by the way, a little side story again. Janine and I played on opposite sides of the field. She was the right mid and I was the left mid. And we started and played every game for 4 years together. And she's the only other one that did that with me, which was kind of neat and fun. And when we beat Syracuse, I was telling the girls this story last night. They said, "What was your favorite story?" And I said, "Well, my favorite soccer story was when my dad mentioned the Syracuse game. They were 8-0 at home, and you know Syracuse is Syracuse. And we went up there, and there was a bus that came down from my hometown, and Janine and I were synced up that game, and we ended up beating them 3-1. And it was just, I'll never forget that game. It was so exciting, but she was really fast, Janine. Annie was a workhorse. Man, Mel, Molly, Lori P, Lori S, Richie, Krupp, Jen, Marge, Nadge, Gumany, and all the rest. It was a fun ride while we were here. I had 3 coaches while I was here, and thank you to them. They're all different coaching styles. To Coach Steve, for making this weekend an absolute amazing one. If you don't know this guy back here, Coach Steve, Bona's gained way more than a soccer coach when hiring him. He's an amazing person. Thank you again to everyone that was part of my life in high school, college, and now. Thank you to St. Bonaventure. I really believe in your Franciscan give back community service. I really have learned a lot when I went here, and I really am trying to teach my kids that. Steve Metz for all the great, nice, friendly emails, and the selection committee. And to my kids, always give your best, work hard, and be kind. And one more thing, let's get out there today. Be George Mason.
Yeah.
Go Bonas!
I'd like our inductees to please stand. Sounds very official, doesn't it? It's my honor, as Director of Athletics, to officially induct John Hayes, Eboni Preston Laurent, and Jo Storms Scattergood into the St. Bonaventure University Athletics Hall of Fame.